watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. This world is won't take me. The highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Welcome back to the LCK, guys, and we're here with Dangun and Pito. Once again, this is Joel helping you guys with the translations for this post-match segment. We got the first match of the round 2 Robin underway, and Kingzone couldn't pull out the win, and Jinair got the win in game number 1. We'll get to see what parts of the contributions ended up giving enough resources over to Jinair to get the win. We actually get to see how the early action and how the little interaction that happened between the two teams in the early game, how that had affected into the mid game, into the late game. And really, Kindred, it's so much to focus on in terms of how it can get to the Scuttle Crab in time. Especially the first few stacks that comes to in the priority does really go to the Scuttle Crab end. And really, the opponents are well aware of that. Every time the Kindred would go for the Scuttle Crab, every time it spawns up. And from the blue start all the way down to the red, and we saw Umpty just skipping through that wall, trying to get to the Scuttle Crab in time. And this was right here, coming from the red all the way, getting from its own blue, and first time at the same time looking at Umpty, not going for the Scuttle Crab right away. It's already right there, but going for the counter jungle instead. And really, we saw that Sejuani just hop out of that situation. And that's where basically a little bit indecisiveness coming from Umpty. Really had to go for either one of the two, but now it's going to go for the blue once again after thinking about going for the Scuttle Crab again. And that was Jinair just really kind of being indecisive of which one to grab, and Kingzone was there in time to just get Umpty out of there, just not allowing the Kindred to get either the counter jungle onto the blue buff nor the Scuttle Crab in the river. So this was very important for Umpty to get any type of advantage it could to get to that resources in time, but Kingzone did a very good job defensively to get that part done. And this was right here. Khan was right here as to how to avoid from this happening. Just right along the spawning area of the Scuttle Crab. So that left Peanut very secure, knowing exactly when the Kindred would make its position right around the Scuttle Crab. Look at it going for the third camp, just a second camp right around the Raptors, knowing, just taking its time. Peanut not going to rush through his camp just to get to the defense of the Scuttle Crab in time. And this was right here, just going for the Wolves. Once again, no rush coming in from Peanut, and just casually clearing out the camps, not even worried about Kindred. And once again, this was right here. As soon as we saw the ward being placed right there in the bush, Peanut knew right away that the blue buff was going to be taken, and just makes himself exposed once again. And once again has that vision through that ward that he placed just earlier. And this was Kindred just seeing Grace coming from the mid lane, and now all the cover is available, and this basically made Umpty kind of immovable in terms of what he is supposed to do at that instant. So Kingzone, a lot of good preparations earlier before this play actually happened. That allowed Kingzone to do so well in defending out Umpty from getting the maximum resources in that instance. and all those things that contributed into the successful defense from Kingzone got them a really good advantage earlier in the game. And of course, that did not lead them to winning out the game overall, but still saw the proactiveness coming in from Kingzone in that early game through that jungling phase in. And we actually saw how that would have affected Kingzone to get much advantages as they can try to win the game. Of course, throughout the objectives, Kingzone did what they were trying to do well, but Jin in the end still overcame all odds, and Kindred overcame odds and still win out the game. And here we see just a lot of praise going over to Teddy. 0 death. Just a complete general is what he's being referred to by the fans here, and it just feels like everything that has been working for Teddy recently has got them a little bit closer to maybe another Glad plane here. And this is our first one again here, and we're going to refer to the H-Dragon, of course the coach of Jin Air, just being prioritized. That the Dragons, the objectives, was the important point for Jin Air as they won that game number 1. We're going to get back to you guys and see how Jin Air does for that game number 2.
Thank you very much, Joel. And now we get to see who the MVP is going to be, because this is an interesting question. There are a lot of players that played very well for Jin Air to bring them that victory, and it is going to be Grace. The 7-1-4 Crocodile from the mid lane picks it up.
He was my vote. The ability to counter the lane and shut down the Kled, and then he team fought really, really well. I thought this was a really impressive performance from him, and Jin Air were on the front foot. They got the draft that allowed them to play around the early game. Khan decided to donate a kill on his flash there. Very nice of him. Nice gift to be given. But if you watch Grace in these fights, you might have been focused on Umti or Teddy controlling space. Grace always knew his role, and the role of a Renekton, I think, just as a champion, is pretty unexplored. Is he a lane bully? Is he a tank? Does he need to transition from one to the other? And where should he be in a team fight are all questions that have evolved in terms of understanding over the 6 or 7 years he's been around on the Rift. This was a really good game from the mid lane Renekton, and just at the time when Jin Air needed it, they sensed that Kingzone weren't necessarily 100%, and they gleefully accept a Game 1 victory.
Yeah, and this last fight, in fact, was Grace getting there very, very late, so he had all of his cooldowns, all of his buttons.
Zoning 3 people.
Yeah, was able to do so. Jin Air did a great job controlling space, like you say, with a lot of their other players as well, though. Everyone having the capabilities to do that on the other side, apart from maybe Umti. You can see his Lamb's Respites working out very, very well as well. Kingzone, not a lot they could do in these late fights after that gold lead had started to really get to crazy levels.
This is a pretty poor game in general by Kingzone. I think Peanut made 2 big errors. This is an excellent battle. It's very difficult to get that much bounce, but got it there. And then this was Peanut deciding to just lose the game straight up because he didn't wait for Gorilla. He was never realistically going to get the smite. No one rushes down objectives without knowing where the enemy jungler is anymore, and he was on a ward. They lost the Baron from this, the Elder, and the game ended. And the Grace family going to be real happy.
Maybe a bit of favoritism. No, he certainly played extraordinarily well. You can see he knows that we're only halfway through the series, though. Not exactly gleeful right here, and neither is Peanut, because he's going to get taken out, most likely unless Rascal comes in as well. But no, Peanut going to be removed. Cuz going to come in. Remember, it is second round robin, so all of those new roster changes have certainly taken place. So Kingzone now do have Rascal.
Rascal back on the roster, but I think Khan can get a reprieve for one game. It was only the laning phase where he made a big error.
He was still Mundo.
Cuz provides a very different type of communication for the team, is very much more of a facilitator player compared to the carry jungler in Peanut. We'll see if it changes the champion choice. They might still take a first round Sejuani on red side. But Jin Air are now on the blue side. We praised their draft. They got a lot of flex picks in game number 1. Can they do that again in game number 2? Because the Swain's up. I bet we'll see another for about the 700th time this week. First pick Swain, if Jin Air can get it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's what they're going to do. Of course, Teddy now 100% win rate, which is very weird for a team that's 1-8. The Kled is going to be banned, though, as ban number 1. A true flex pick for Kingzone now, I guess you could say. Although BDD didn't exactly have a day out on the pick.
Much easier on red side to hold that flex till later in the draft, so you can understand that on blue side with more flexibility to ban out annoying champions and the flexibility of red side Kingzone. I think if you're going to ban Kled, this is fine.
Well, Kled and Morgana both going to leave the Rift. Saw them both in game number 1 on either side, but not going to see them again today. Kingzone, we'll see whether they go through similar bans that we saw from Jin Air on the red side. Talia, I believe, came in here, but Nocturne was the final ban, so still on track.
Expected to be a final ban on that Talia. See what Jynneir's angling for a first pick.
Tahm
Taking away
Kench,
the
okay.
safe Tahm Kench from Gorilla. Always one of his fallbacks. The Shen may go up in priority for him now. Might be a first round draft on the red side. Kingzone's final ban. Talia will be standard. Zoe could be considered as well.
Zoe, interestingly, fell entirely through the draft. Last time around, not wanting to pick that one up. Of course, when the Kled was in there, it was the counter pick central as Talia, like you say, going to be the ban. So it feels like our red side bans agreed upon by both of our teams. Going to be very similar as Jynneir. Yeah, they take the Swain and they take it real fast.
Need to think about it. Shen is up. I think Shen will be taken. Already being hovered. Will be selected. Usually you'd see the strongest possible jungler here. Could just be Cuz.
Oh,
Taking it.
wow,
Wow,
okay.
Cuz has gone to an old favorite. It is 8-13 with those nerfs, but he's going to go to the Camille and say, all right, Umpty, you love to counterpick jungle. There's going to be a jungle Camille. A lot of presence from that. What do you want on the other side of the matchup?
Well, he could take the Kindred if he wants to, but it looks like the Swain-Sejuani combination might be coming down yet again. Umpty not looking too happy about it. I personally would prefer he brings back the Kindred, but I feel like Camille does okay in the matchup. Gragas going to be taking the Flexi Gragas. Proven by Soan to actually work on the top side of the map means that they can hold on to the top lane pick and have some true flexibility even on the blue
I
side.
think the most important thing is the disengage from the ultimatum that the barrel provides.
Yeah.
So that's the utility there. Good against Kindred, good against Camille for similar reasons. See what Jynneir wants to commit to on the first round here. Go for another flex pick, and they don't want to flex. They just want to flex their muscles by going for the Thresh in the first round. Okay.
The Thresh Swain sounds pretty potent when it comes to CC. You ain't going to be doing a lot for a very long time against those two.
And Flay is, what, a 600 range displacement now with the Swain passive? That'd be amusing. Could be a mid lane Swain or a top lane Swain, but for now at least, we might be treated to our first Thresh Swain lane.
Well, 100% win rate for Teddy and 0% win rate for Grace. That's tiny sample size.
Hey, they're pro
but
gamers,
still.
not mathematicians, okay? They don't know about no numbers.
All right, well, we'll see where it goes. Still a true flex pick like you say. Zoe going to be locked in here from BDD, and we've got the bans coming in. LeBlanc and the Syndra both banned. Definitely great matchups into the Zoe. Has been proven time and time again. The Darius to be taken off the board for Jynneir first up. Does the Kennen go? Are we aiming for trying to pick up a Mundo for Jynneir this time around? We'll see. Mundo just going to be banned away, so Kingzone gonna have to play something else on the top side. Khan's been playing way too much Dr. Mundo.
I want to see some Jace from Khan, to be honest.
Oh, hell yeah. We always want to see Jace from Khan.
Not necessarily the best comp to play Jace against, but sometimes you play for the player you're going to hold on to. Khan's pick till last pick. Seems like they're going to take the Ezreal in this spot for Prey.
Ezreal Shen, not exactly a power lane, but Ezreal is one of those champions that can be very self-sufficient. So similar to that of the Vladimir Vayne. Okay, Jynneir, what are you going to do this time around? Yorick would be an odd one.
He's just randoming at this point.
Yeah.
But the decision is, they know that Zoe's going mid lane. What we do in Jynneir, this would be an odd spot to take a Renekton.
Okay, another champion that does okay into the Zoe would be the Yasuo, and they do pick it up. So much knock-up synergy. Every other player on the team is going to be able to help out, apart from the Swain, I guess. The pullback, does that actually do it? I think it does. Good God, okay, now Sejuani's going to come in for yet more, as Grace is going to have the best time on Yasuo ever.
I like the Yasuo for Grace, also one of his best performing champions we've seen this season, so I'm a fan of the pick. On the side of Kingzone, actually hovering a Maokai. This would be our first Maokai of the season. I don't think they're going to see Maokai, though. But it'll be some level of carry. Will it be good old Kenny? They're thinking about it, and it will be the Kennen.
The Khan Kenny.
So a ranged champion to try to deal with the Gragas in the top lane. I wonder if it will be Jace-esque. Go for the AD build. Ability power will be a zone control, but unless you're popping the Yasuo, everyone else is going to be living for a while. Be able to take stock of it in-game. I'm guessing 80 on-hit Kennen coming through from Khan. A lot of backline threat, though. The ultimatum into the Maelstrom could be a spicy duo.
Yeah, sounds pretty exciting to me, but I'm looking at that mid lane. I want to see whether Grace can actually get this Yasuo rolling once again and then utilize all the synergy that the rest of the team provides. good lord, Jin Air have got one hell of a pile-in composition. Teddy once again has his undefeated Swain. A lot here for Jin Air on the blue side to utilize, but Kingzone have got power almost everywhere. So much damage available, and that level 2 power in the jungle is real scary from the Camille.
What I want to see from Kingzone is Cuz and Khan working as a duo around the strength of a top lane ranged opponent against Gragas, and also the ganking ability of a Camille in the early game. I think they can get a lot of inroads around either killing the Gragas or controlling the top side of the map, getting a Rift Herald, keeping the tempo high, because Jin Air, you already mentioned it, Atlas. You were talking about the knockup synergy. What does that mean on a simple level? Easy to execute team fights here.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like yesterday where Blank was frustrating FLICKR not being able to set up a knockup. Basically everyone here can set up the last breath, and then suddenly, how's Zoe going to deal with a million people in melee range?
Yep, setting up the last breath, giving Swain targets to pull back as well. They've got so much setup CC that works out so incredibly easily on the side of Jin Air. But Kingzone DragonX have got a hell of a lot. Early game power and comfort champions here as well. The top lane matchup feels like a great one for Khan. There's a lot here for Kingzone to do. We'll see whether they can bring us to game 3.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Well, Kingzone fans certainly aplenty here in the auditorium, which has filled up. Soli Stadium got quite a few people, even in the top seats, nosebleed section, going full.
And we got a news update. It's AP Cannon coming through from Khan. Going away from our expectations, as that's a really long dragon.
I think that's Kingzone fans right there.
It must be a very big dragon.
Yeah.
Usually we see very long alpacas. This is a different thing.
Yeah, no KT in this particular game, as Teddy demonstrating Swain's incredibly spammable emotes.
Khan is basically doing a Vladimir impression, going to try to pop some backlines here with a lot of ability power early. Makes it really easy for So1 to itemize. Could go into the Abyssal Mask or just the Spirit Visage to pump up the healing.
Yeah, Abyssal Mask actually, like we illustrated earlier on, fantastic on Gragas, who really wants to get into close range, so
Good
you could
synergy.
imagine building that one very soon, and yeah, like you say, very good synergy.
With and Teddy, so it'll be a nice pickup. So got a lot of options here. If he's going to be going tank, I doubt you're going ability power in this game. So it's all about the backline dive. Will it be a last breath or a maelstrom? We'll find out soon.
Exactly. Both of these teams, similar ideas, but Khan, he certainly wants to destroy this lane, and that's the difference this game to last game, is that some winning lanes are now available for Kingzone. So can they utilize them effectively is the question, especially top lane. Looking at that Cannon to really roll over the Gragas. Early game, at least.
And I think it's pretty much the same equation we spoke about in game number 1. Here is Cuz utilizing the power of level 2 Camille. Just disengaging from a scuttle fight like we saw in game number 1. But the big difference to me is when those team fights happen, let's assume there's overlapping ultimatums and maelstroms and just AoE CC everywhere. Grace and Teddy will have the ability to fight through those with Cleanse on the Yasuo and just Swain's ability to go golden. Meanwhile, much less reliable for the Zoe and the Ezreal. So I think those fights, if it's an even gold game, will suit Jin Air just fine. They also went exhaust on Nova for having an exhaust to deal with the cannon as the game goes on. So they were the ones to guess that it would be the AP cannon rather than the AD. So tools-wise, in an even game, I think there's going to be some advantages for Jin Air in the late game. But Kingzone have already, as we already mentioned, Cannon, Camille, and also the Zoe setup for quite a lot of aggressive options for Cuz to profit from.
Yeah, just 0 frontline options. Really, Kingzone really want to win a fight, then create some chaos, and then utilize Zoe Ezreal in that regard. We've seen Zoe Ezreal be very successful in exactly that style of play, as Cuz looks for the stun, doesn't get it, but will be able to get the 3 buff over Umti.
Had the ward down earlier to get a spot on the health bar there of the blue buff. Nice steal away from Cuz. A bit frustrating for Umti. Might just have to go back and buy a Hunter's Potion. Never feels great.
All right, Trouble Bubble just going to straight up land as Grace. Very nice cleanse, but doesn't want to use a Summoner spell in trade for basically nothing on the side of Kingzone.
Does mean the Sejuani can go and get the Gromp to get towards level 3. Doesn't have to fully disengage from the jungle, does Umti, as he was going to originally after seeing Camille in mid lane. again, the way you win this is King Zone is that Cuz gets some snowball kills and then rolls in with a Shen ultimate and kills people. He's going to be very able to take over the game if he's able to get a decent start and utilize the Stand United to play aggressively. And we know Cuz is happy to do that. We saw some amazing all-ins from him last time he played Camille on the LCK stage where he just burst people I never thought would be possible from a jungle Camille. So an aggressive style jungler. Usually you're thinking of Peanut, but this time it's Cuz who's really empowered by the draft.
Peanut hasn't really been playing those aggressive champions in recent days and weeks. So Cuz coming in here with the Camille is a breath of fresh air for a lot of our Kingzone fans who may have wanted to see Cuz over at Rift Rivals. But Jinaz still with a lot of options. Taking away the Rift Scuttler was smart on the bottom side, not with their jungler. They just grouped up as 3, given their pushing wave on the bottom side with this Thresh and Swain, and denied Camille the extra experience and money that would have provided.
Just waiting for So1 to get a minion. Finally got one on the 3rd time of asking.
Yep, there we go.
How about this one? No.
No, just
I think he got about 2 out of 7 there.
I'd give it a 2 out of 7, probably.
Just Gragas things when you're laning against a very strong laner like Khan on this cannon. What can you do?
Well, you can go back to base, see whether you can pick up any extra items. Ruby Crystal and an extra Doran's Ring going to be the way. And he teleports back in with a few consumables as well. So So1 going to be okay. At least going to have a large health bar now, but Khan going to get a much better back with his 41 CS.
Start working towards Proto Belt, you'd imagine, as the first item. Ooh, Sorcerer's Shoes for even more dunking potential. If Cuz is coming top lane, this is the item you want to try to extend a lead over the enemy Gragas.
See, in the mid lane, Grace just picking up what he can. The melee versus range matchup, not a great one, but if Omti ever decides that he wants to poke his head in, it's going to be a difficult one, as that control ward getting some money so far.
Also probably going to be able to guess where the control ward is. Actually a red ping to ping out the control ward spot as Omti displaced his. A lot of early information here. While a control ward will be cleared, Omti won't be able to know how much extra information there is, and here comes Cuz.
Yeah, does manage to clear out the control ward. Arctic Assault getting Omti out. Certainly good, but I don't know whether they knew that Cuz was there. Actually, they did, of course. Omti spotted him out. Now going to be moving back towards bottom lane, but Cuz still going to be able to get the hook shot onto So1, who's quite tanky, like we say, with what he picked up earlier before, so Body Slam's going to get him to safety. Can the Arctic Assault land here onto BDD? He might actually just face check here. He is going to do so. Not going to quite have that cooldown as the stun's in. Last breath comes down. BDD going to flash to get himself out, and not the follow flashes to come in from Jinez. So1 moving down the river, and there's even a Thresh up here as well. Can he find the barrel? No, he can't. That just whiffed. That was strange. Didn't even explode on any minions.
I guess that was a visual bug?
That was very strange. I think the minions still died, so they took the damage.
I think it's a visual bug. I feel uncomfortable, though. That was weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Can we call a Chrono Break?
He certainly did miss it, though.
Yeah.
So,
Can we call a Chrono Break?
Yeah, sure. Let's Chrono Break it. You know what?
Joel, you there?
Are you done with this game, Papa Smithy?
Joel, we need help.
Can we pause the game, please? We want to pause it.
Well, I think there's a visual bug there. That was interesting. Yeah. So the reason why all that happened, Cuz was staying in the brush at level 4, and while he had been scouted, Khan had changed over with the Unsealed Spellbook to Ignite, hit level 6, and just wanted to all in the Gragas. So that's why they went for the initial play. After that, we saw a lot of abilities miss, and Grace be surprisingly defensive at flashing over.
Yeah, I thought he would have done it, but decides not to. Arctic Assault held on to pretty expertly by Omti as well, as we're doing it again. I feel like Groundhog Day's coming through, Pup Smithy.
It's my 4th day in a row at the Sangami Stadium, so the Groundhog Day reference definitely hits home.
Sorry. Should I stop, or should I just...
You can lean into it if you got some good material out. So I'm always ready for some
It's always hit or miss with
comedy.
the material from me. So we'll see how we go. But that did certainly look like we were repeating things once again.
I just want to see this Thresh, because usually when we see Thresh in the LCK, it's good old Mata popping out, making the big plays.
Yeah, and this is Nova's time to shine, really, because he's replacing Wraith and hasn't had very much time in the sun before this. This is a champion where he can make his mark, and his game number 1 was good. That hook is going to go wide, and so we're just going to leave the bottom lane.
And Nova's been an engaged support. His Rakan was the only champion he could find a win on before they actually played BBQ earlier this week. They had 2 wins on Rakan, and everything else was a loss for the side of Jin Air.
And he's played a hell of a lot of champions.
He
too,
has.
So
He's
he's
tried-
really tried his hardest.
If the champion goes in, he's given it a go, but unfortunately not to the tune of any victories. Gresh, if you're able to take down the outer turret first, is such a menace, but if he's just forced to wait to the team fight phase, less reliable.
Well, Grace not able to set up the wind wall in the right position as BDD successfully finds the paddle star. Redemption being frustrating here in the mid lane, but Grace should be okay. BDD doesn't get the range on that one. It's because he's doing a lot of parking.
He's trying to make the ganks happen. We talked about how the gank setup is there, but it's been at the cost of farming. He's a couple of camps behind. He's not been able to find the successful ganks. Do worry.
Well, Umpty is going to be here for the counter gank as there's the ultimate from Kuz. Can they get him out of the way, though? And the stun is good. Gorilla makes his way down, but Grace is now in safety, and Teddy turns up. Umpty grabs the first blood, and everyone collapsed from Jin Air. They're still looking for more, though, as Gorilla trying to get out of their stopwatch is a real bad idea. He's going to get slowed down and destroyed. Does manage to get his way out, but he's just going to get pulled back in. Such is the Jin Air composition.
Nice counter gank coming through from Jin Air. Teddy in the right spot at the right time. Teleport down from Prey. I assume it was already used, not cancelled. In the bot lane, they continue to push through. Really nice turnaround by Jin Air.
That sidestep from Teddy on the paddle star was just stunning there in the mid lane as well, but the damage has been done. Let's have a look at it again.
So very, very long discussion. Level 6 from Kuz. He's not been picking up the farm. Spotted by Umpty, so Umpty does go the right way. We thought maybe Grace would be burst down, but when he flashes away after the cleanse, he's not going to take any more damage. He cleanses the ignite. Teddy with an excellent teleport. The Ezreal tries to walk up. He didn't have teleport, but he's cut off by the Thresh. So never any impact from Prey. Overall, a nice play, but now Khan, he really wants a kill.
Yeah, looking for more. Probably wanted the extra damage there from BDD. Knock up, not going to land, and that is the go button for Khan. Wants to find it and does so. BDD grabs that kill. Jin Air, are they actually going to take the lantern? No, they're not. As Nova was looking for a play, but the rest of the team, they weren't.
They were never able to actually set up a last breath because he could never get off a flay. Died in CC duration. Did Nova. That's a huge change in momentum in the game, and it might be first Drake to Kingzone.
Yeah, Infernal Drake as well to add insult to injury for Jin Air. So really good turnaround. Kingzone back in the tempo driver's seat.
Nova tried to make the big play, set up a 4-man last breath, but not able to do so. Goes down. Always so squishy is that Thresh, and that was just a roam from Khan. He comes back to top lane. He's not going for the builds we predicted, naturally. Maybe just focusing on a first item Morellonomicon. You don't often see blasting one first on the cannon outside of one of the oldest metas, which was the Rylai's cannon for the most CC possible in a team fight.
Well, he could still go for it. Of course, Blasting Wand is in there, but there's certainly a lot of options that Blasting Wand could turn into.
Morellonomicon, I think, is the most obvious one. Is against a Swain. Even the Gragas in the lane has quite a lot of sustain.
Yep.
That rhymed far too much.
It certainly did. I could hear you triggering yourself while the sentence was coming out. Very enjoyable. But the CS certainly going well here for Soan, who did get some extra time with that dive in the mid lane.
And again, we're not too worried about the late game here for Jin Air. Seems like they have options. Grace doesn't want to die solo here, but he might.
Yep, Windwall does come in. The flash goes over as BDD. He's going to escape the ultimate, but not much else, as I think Umpty should be able to get there. The turret comes down. Portal jump is going to troll BDD, and eventually he's going to get taken down. Umpty gets the assist for Grace in the mid lane, but honestly, that was some weird play from the Yasuo.
Yeah, Grace kind of outplayed himself, trying to think out the mid lane. Reminded me of Scout's solo kill on Kuro back at Rift Rivals. Walked up, was always going to finish it off. Once again, Umpty's in the right spot to spare his blushes a little bit, but increasingly we're seeing BDD style on his opponent.
And that could mean Rift Herald here for Kingzone as well. So it seems like whenever Kingzone are able to grab something, they're able to use that pressure to get more on the map. It's what we say is the difference between good and great teams. Looks like Shelly will bite the dust as Kuz is able to take her down. Yasuo is going to at least move over here, but it's not going to be in time unless he wants to try and get himself a kill. Turns up, does at least see it.
And to be fair to Jin Air, it is a byproduct of the winning lanes, just like we sort of asked for the same sort of play from Jin Air in game number 1. So far, Red side has been getting winning lanes, and you expect the up-tempo plays like kill into Drake or kill into the Rift Herald that you can't necessarily ask from Jin Air. Jin Air, once again, just about sticking a pretty decent early game. Good farm numbers for Teddy. 11-minute Rod of Ages is very decent as well. Kingzone need to keep making these plays and waiting for the next Stand United Hextech Ultimatum play from Cuz to really further snowball this lead.
Teddy really has been very impressive after the Rift Rivals break, coming in and showing that he can be the kind of player that we expect on a marksman whilst he's piloting a different champion.
And that's what teams like Jinair were allowed. Teams that didn't go to Rift Rivals were set up to get a mental reset on some players who obviously had been hapless for the entire time pre-Rift Rivals. 0 and 8 were Jinair, and very easy to feel like the sky is falling on your head when you're in a scenario like that. The time away from the game, or maybe into a bit more sedate pace rather than a professional game every 2 days, has allowed Teddy to come in, and he's looked razor sharp in the 3 games we've seen.
Yeah, looked very, very good. He's certainly one of his champions that he could play before the Rift Rivals break as well, so it's probably only gotten better. Grace looking for a roam, but is spotted on a ward.
He's down 35 CS after the 2 deaths, and that's starting to pile up for sure.
Yeah, a bit of a problem here for the Yasuo. Wants to find a side lane, but speaking of side lanes, Kingzone gonna have to use everything to get out of this one. Upti looking for more. Gorilla going down low as the stuns are landing. There's so much CC as Demon Flare is just going to erupt very early. Stopwatch from Teddy as Upti's body blocking, and Prey can't grab that kill, but the tower goes down in the mid lane. Shelly utilized very well by Kingzone.
Yeah, very nice trade there. Cuz understood no way to get to bot side, so why not hit the mid lane tower and heap the pressure onto the Yasuo, was already looking pretty hapless. Laning phase ended first in the mid lane, suits Kingzone just fine. Now Grace has to play to the top side, knowing that Cuz could be there for a return gank.
Yeah, this is another one of those games where we need to talk about what the leads actually mean. Kingzone are now ahead by about 800 gold, something like that, but is this similar to what we saw in Game 1, but with the tables turned? Are Jinair happy to have Kingzone with a little bit of a lead?
I think definitely it's a similar scenario where Kingzone err towards the 2-item mid-game fights, and then Jinair, the moment that Teddy has threat and also the ability to power through an extended team fight, might be able to turn it. Swain does well in these AoE fests, and when you see Camille Cannon, you know what to expect for a fight. The thing we will say about Kingzone is this AP Cannon can be so explosive in the mid-game, and there's so little threat from Grace that I think if Kingzone gets the fight they're looking for, they're very likely to snowball it into a big lead.
Yeah, and I think that getting the fight they want is going to be one of those difficult tasks. Khan going to have his stopwatch timings very, very locked down, because Sohan has the classic answer in the explosive cask. Of course, a little bit more difficult now because it's more projected given the cast time.
A lot of damage from the Sejuani this game.
Yeah, wow. Umpty. He plays carry every time he plays. This is Aftershock Sejuani too, not even with the fleet footwork, for getting a bit of that extra attack speed.
See what the first item will be. It might just be a very, very early Zeke's convergence for Grace, but that feels really bad because Grace is so far behind.
Yeah.
Does baby him a little bit. His damage will be slightly higher, but not even a BF sword in the inventory yet from Grace, who might just go Sterix this game to not get popped in a team fight as well.
Could be the option. We've seen a few of these different builds coming in from the Yasuos. Is True Shot Barrage going to fly forward just to try and clear out this minion wave? Prey struggling at the hands of Teddy just a little bit farm-wise, but not really too much to worry about. A few CS here and there. But Teddy's been all over the map, which is why I bring it up. Not a lot of punishment from the Ezreal this game.
Didn't get a replay of it, but Nova's max range lantern and max range hook in the actual kill they got in the bot lane a few moments ago was very, very nice. Probably another one of those support mains who errs towards Thresh when he's blind picking.
Yep. I feel like if you are one of those support mains that's making your way up Challenger, Thresh feels like one of the best options when you're climbing.
Remember that Khan has the Muranonomicon Sorcerer's Shoes. He has double Magic Pen, and he desperately wants to find access to the backline, so gotta be careful, Jenny. You need to be in good formation, and the exhaust is down from Nova, so we're expecting big damage out of the cannon.
Well, Double Dragon now picked up for Kingzone, a very free one going over to them earlier on.
Is Streets of Rage coming next?
Yeah, I think so.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game?
No, don't bring up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The
I
game
remember
was
the
so
reboot
good.
again.
We're talking about video games here, Atlas. Please keep up.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, and we had terrible pizza today, which is also what I'm reminded of when you say Ninja Turtles.
I'm not willing to group myself with you. I was assigned pizza, and because I'm on my diet, I vacated it, did not eat it, and gave it away.
That's true.
You ate terrible pizza.
Yeah, I know. I'm what's the opposite of cutting?
Bulking.
Bulking, yeah, I'm bulking.
You're looking really thick today.
Thanks, man.
Am I
Hey,
complimenting you?
I was looking thick 2 days ago as well.
You're sounding thick as well.
No, that's not a change. We're talking about things that are different, Papa.
Describe what was on the pizza. I'm sure the fans are really hungry right now. Maybe hold on to it for a moment.
Yeah, I am. There was mushrooms on it, though. That ultimate from So-On was
sick.
glorious.
Yeah.
That disengaged. Ain't nothing he could do.
All right, what was on the pizza?
Well, it had mushrooms. It had some assorted meats. I think there was pepperoni
So far,
there.
so good.
Pineapple. That's going to
I'm a
divide
pineapple
some
boy.
people.
I'm a pineapple boy,
Yeah,
sure.
I'm okay with the pineapple. I'm not
So
one of those
where are we
purists.
upset then? So far, sounding good.
And then corn.
Oh,
That's the wombo combo, the Korean wombo combo. Just got to put corn on everything.
I feel like corn and mayonnaise are the things that Koreans really love to put on Western items.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I do like both of those things, but I just sometimes feel like corn is misplaced when on a pizza.
Where is the correct place for corn that's not on a cob?
On a cob. Oh, okay. Damn it.
In a Cobb salad?
Cream of chicken soup, I guess, but this could be another soupy option here in the mid lane as well as Grace gets taken down very low, takes a lantern ride, he's going to survive. It's a lot of buttons, but not a lot of action as Teddy wants to turn that one around. Vision of Empire doesn't get too much as Gorilla's able to disengage as well, and the re-engage comes down from Cuz. Might have been a bad idea, he flashes out, but Umpty has flashed after him. Nova grabs the kill as the wind wall's beautiful to keep everyone alive on Jin Air. Prey over the side though,
Khan.
and BDD gets more. In goes Khan, good exhaust from Nova once again as the hook takes down the Zoe. Nova's popping off. He will die in the end, but it looked like a whole lot of fun for Jin Air.
That was definitely a fiesta. So many kills on both sides. 3 for 3 extended trade. Jin Air will prefer the gold because they have the scaling comp here. Khan not able to actually ravage the team fight like it looked would happen. Big engage. We've been begging for these big engages from Cuz, but it's turned around so quickly. And Umti has just been all over the place in the Sejuani. He's easily been the MVP of the early game.
Yeah. Teddy as well, I mean, creating a lot of space here, but look at where Umti re-engages onto Cuz. Of like the third or fourth re-engage.
It was really nicely done by Umti. Pressures out one, kills the other on the top side. I think Jin Air should have taken a chill pill now and fully disengaged, but they allow Khan to come in, exhaust or no. They get the trade, so they do actually get a 1-for-1 at the tail end. It's still a 3 for 3. I think it could have been a 3 for 2, but maybe it doesn't matter. It's a very close fight between Jin Air and Kingzone.
Yeah, there are a lot of similar numbers traded for a lot of similar numbers in that last sentence, Papa Smithy, so I have a feeling that the team that wants to get to the late game unscathed is probably feeling pretty good. 1.5k or something like that, the lead as far as gold, but the items are starting to come in here for Jin Air. Zonya's Hourglass was already completed for Teddy. He's now got a blasting one moving towards potentially that Morellonomicon. It could be just a Rylo's Crystal Scepter wanting to stay a little bit more tanky this game. We'll see where he goes.
Umti just covering his teammates. He's been in the right place, the right time at every moment in the game. Best way to know that, 100% kill participation.
Yeah.
For the Piggy. Gonna take the first turret of the game. He's gonna jungle around the cannon. Deny cannon from having too much impact. Gragas already used his cask, so only delaying this turret take.
Yeah. This explosive barrel not going to be doing too much as Prey is able to take that one down, and BDD trades up in the mid lane as well. Taking the inner turret, the map is starting to get real wide for Jin Air GreenWings. Kingzone utilizing their strong laning phase like Kingzone certainly are wont to do. As a team, very, very good at that. As the red buff taken by Prey. It was a good attempt with So-On's barrel, but not enough.
Jin Air definitely traded down, going top lane just to pick up one turret, giving up a further 2. Does mean now a lot of different avenues for Khan to come from a flank and take over this game, and he's got a pretty cool hat going on here, Atlas.
God, that is a lot of damage in that build, Khan. He's certainly not too afraid of Jin Air this game.
And the tank Yasuo I talked about is going to come out. I think it's the right choice. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel good when it's delayed. I think a Snowball Sterix would have been happy, but because he's behind, just desperately needs to not be popped by the Zoe or the cannon that we've already talked about a couple of times. And just like we saw Kingzone enact, Jin Air enact a rotation on the Kingzone cannon, now Kingzone just goes wherever the Yasuo is, and Yasuo gives up another minion wave, another turret. Suddenly, Baron threat from Kingzone's getting higher and higher.
It actually looks like Grace is pretty happy about that turret going down, because finally he's going to get one of those minion waves that you were talking about. But it's certainly not a great move Lantern Ride for Teddy. Gets him away from that outer turret in the mid lane, but Kingzone able to defend a whole lot of their structures. Only one going down in favor of Jin Air. Took a pretty decent heads-up play from them as well to even get space onto that turret, let alone any others on this map. Only a few hit points have been taken from the bottom side. Mid lane has taken some damage. Otherwise, Kingzone have a monopoly on map control.
I know you and I are waiting for the big cask this game. Could be a game ender, as Prey does have QSS, so the threat here, the jump scare, not quite as scary.
Yep. Mystic Shot didn't actually find any targets there either. I was expecting Umpty to actually pull the trigger. They're moving over towards Baron. Okay. They check the pit. Dragon goes down in favor of Kingzone very easily. Not sure what Jin Air were trying to do there. Looking for some sneaky plays.
Kind of eerie how this game is pretty much ate the previous game almost 1-for-1. Seems like we're getting the same game again, but
yeah.
with Kingzone on the red side now.
Nameplates over the other side. That Groundhog Day once again taunting you, Papa.
All my analysis basically applies the same. If you ripped out the audio from game 1, it would basically apply here, where yes, Kingzone will be able to force the fight with the Infernal Drake coming and the eventual Elder. But I think Jin Air will be happy to opt into it when they reach certain item timings. Probably one more item on Yasuo is what they desperately need.
Yeah, I think Infinity Edge needs to come in to have some big damage threat, but the Rylai's Crystal Scepter's there, and Teddy's now in the Pixel Brush, waiting for Kingzone to come in.
Oh, he actually sidestepped.
Cannon.
They sidestepped the cube. Prey
Yeah,
didn't know.
flies forward, and Prey just gets knocked up. He's in a bouncy castle as Nova landed the death sentence, but it could be his own, and he is going to go down. It is going to be traded, so we've got both of the supports dying here.
Teddy?
As Teddy jumps forward, it's a double kill for the Yasuo. Zonya's fantastic timing from the Swain, but he does eventually fall. And now Grace a little bit too low. Khan looking for his opportunity as the barrel for the disengage once again is there for Sohan. He flashes into the trouble bubble though, and that is not what you want. BDD, not a lot of options that he has. That flash from Umpty was real fat, but not quite enough. And can Grace actually get on top of this fight? He wants the knock-up, does get it onto Khan in the back line, and is able to escape, at least for now. He's charged up the flow, but he can't get there. It's the 1-2 punch from Cuz, and they take down the mid laner. That's the ace, very delayed, as Nova has already respawned.
5 for 3 for the side of Kingzone. Really interesting fight there. The top laners couldn't join for the longest time because they were tete-a-tete in the bot lane. Eventually the TPs came through. It is cleaned up by Kingzone, but they do allow Yasuo to pick up 3 kills. He got all of them. Prey is so unlucky. He queued the brush earlier, but they sidestepped it, so he had no idea there'd be people there. They can't burst him down. At the start, when Teddy actually closes the distance and they get the kill on Ezreal, you assume this is going to be a team fight for Jin Air, but Cuz and BDD are healthy, and the skirmishing here from Kingzone is very good.
Yeah, Teddy unfortunately fell down a little bit too low before that Zhonya's came in. I mean, I thought this could have been an opportunity for Jin Air to disengage, but the flash into the trouble bubble was bad news for Sohan.
But there were so few places to flash. He had already used the cast to disengage, trying to open space. I can't criticize the Gragas for that play. He did his best, didn't work out. Then from there, Grace buys a lot of time. Does mean they're not going to lose further objectives because he doesn't die instantly. Not able to interrupt Cuz, but I don't think there was a turnaround kill there for the Yasuo.
I mean, if he had have interrupted the hookshot before he got stunned, maybe there was an opportunity, given the fact that he had the full grey bar. But difficult one, and he was able to do the most damage in that fight as well, given the cleanup, so deserved all of the kills that he was able to pick up. Only one BF sword in the back pocket, but still gazing longingly at that Infinity Edge in the shop. 2,300 necessary before he can take that one home with him.
I think if Exhaust is on point, the item timings you're looking for is the Yasuo finishing Infinity Edge, but also the Knight's Vow that the Sejuani almost has. That's when I think the utility and damage on the Yasuo will be ready to go. Not there yet, and Kingzone very happy to fight now, feeling so good about this point. They have 3 items on Ezreal, and you have to imagine Ezreal will have more damage in the next fight compared to the burst.
And 3 items on Khan as well. Void Staff has been completed. With this tanky lineup, that is such an important item as well. This cannon slicing Maelstrom, yeah, I think the slicing comes down to some pretty incredible knives. I think he probably got them from Japan or something like that, where they have the best culinary equipment, because damn, he will be cutting all the way through Jin Air.
And I imagine if we're critiquing Jin Air, it's going to be what does the Cask do? I think So1 controls so much of the next fight. Is he disengaging a Kennen? That might win a team fight. Is he popping in an Ezreal? That might win a team fight. Does he fail? That might lose a team fight. There's a lot going on here with the Gragas. It's always been the way ever since we lost the 1.5 AP scaling burst Gragas. It's been about where the bounce lies. I think he has a lot of options here, So1, but a lot of options doesn't always mean great results.
Well, now So1's on the bottom side without a teleport. Khan has gone back to level 1 with the Ghost heal. He's picked up for himself. This guy wants to get in. He's going to get in whether you like it or not, switching up all of his summoner spells.
He's real fast. That's true.
Yeah, this Kenny is going to be moving pretty quick.
He also doesn't really care about dying. He's not going for Zonias. He went for the Void Staff like you mentioned.
He's got a broken stopwatch here as well, so this is a real problem if Kingzone want to start a fight now, because you were talking about the Cask. It's now a lot easier, not a lot of outplay potential from the Kennen. It's always the stopwatch or the Zhonya's that can really blow the mind of someone trying to use a fairly projected ability like the explosive Cask. As in goes Cuz towards the bottom side. It's going to be a 3 versus 1. The Cask ain't great from the Gragas this time, and Cuz is going to lock down the kill. Jinair want to make use of this, but is the Baron damage going to be enough? It's Zoe and Ezreal to poke them down as they're trying to take this. Trouble Bubble not going to land because it's a good wind wall, but it was a tough decision at best to try and get this one done as the Cannon's pushing mid.
Yeah, the mid is already going towards the inhibitor turret. Remember, they got 2 turrets in mid lane much earlier. Also out of position for the Infernal. So Kingzone will pick up a lot here. That was a great decision to pile onto the bot lane, because you look at the enemy team, what don't they have? Baron damage. Only Grace can really put specks of dust onto this Baron. Kingzone walking up.
Oh, Ultimate does fly forward, but Teddy doesn't get the never move. They will be able to grab the QSS, but that's about it. And 4 Drakes once again this game going to the red side. This time it's Kingzone.
And now it's going to be, can Jinair get the maximum when that Infinity Edge is finally done? Waiting for the recipe now. Or can Kingzone go for piggyback again? Play 3 lanes. Suddenly Kingzone don't want to group in as much. They will take a fight if they can get it, but they don't need to overly force one now that Grace is on the precipice of being a very scary Yasuo.
Yeah. Grace is looking scary. However, I'm looking at the tiny little Cannon Ratman on the bottom side of the map thinking he's real terrifying, not to mention Cuz, who's got a GA now as well as his Trinity Force completed. Feels like he's got basically everything that a Camille could want for starting up these fights. It's all about whether Jinair can find this pile-on composition that's actually going to work out, or whether Kingzone can just continue taking what they want around this map and wreaking havoc.
And it's not going for the Zhonya's this game. That means exhaust, and already, like you mentioned, the Gragas will be able to answer him. That's why I think playing 3 lanes, just running at the Gragas and killing him with a Shen ultimate on top of the cannon might be the best way forward. Back in the bot lane. He's got Ghost now, so keeping up his movement speed trend.
Well, Grace, along with Nova, was there. I mean, the Lantern Ride was available for Umti, but he didn't want to take it. Of course, him putting his face forward could just spell the end of a Baron.
Uh-oh.
As Umti wants to body block for this Paddle Star that is eventually going to fly forward. True Shot Barrage not going to find the target, though.
Take that, Gragas.
Oh, yeah, gets Gragas. That's what he was aiming for, obviously. His Drunken Rage is going to help, because he's going to find the Sejuani. Umti in trouble now as the hook lands, but that's a very dead Miss Piggy. Teleport flies forward. Khan still wants more as Nova just dies. Okay, Windwall's going to stop the onslaught, but Kingzone, this should be Baron.
That's going to be Baron for the side of Kingzone, like you mentioned. They get 2. I don't think Teddy can spare the blushes this time. Well played by Kingzone. Going on the Sejuani Lantern. So frustrating. Does nothing when you're in the ultimatum. Kingzone onto the Baron, and I think Jinair have to give this up.
Well, Teddy takes about 1 billion damage from that Paddle Star. He does throw down his ultimate as Kingzone do pull away from the Baron. Flashes forward just to try and get some more, but he knew he wasn't getting anything there. The flash was odd, and Kingzone not going to jump fully off the Baron. They'll be able to take it down now.
Yeah, that was silly from Teddy. Now his summoner is down. Wanted to live longer by flashing over his skill shot, but given what they give up from this, the Baron and now no flash on Teddy for the next fight, certainly not worth. Jinair back away. They'll say, hey, we have the Infinity Edge. There's still a team fight we win, but they've given up so much to get to that point.
Yeah, it's real bad news. Spellbinder will be very close for Khan as well, as he's going to continue shoving things around. He's towards the top side, doesn't spot out that he is on a ward, and he is going to get pinged furiously by Jin Air. We know Jin Air can do anything. It is hold on. However, holding on against this team that now has close to a 10,000 gold lead, all the dragons, and now a Baron buff, is going to be real hard.
Yep, I think that's the right amount of reals there, Atlas. It's deck stacked against Jin Air, but not impossible because their comp does have some options late game. We've got there, and let's see how the execution can be from the side of Jin Air GreenWings. They're not going to be able to have a terrain advantage. If you just have King Zone with no Baron buff running at you, there's a team fight that Jin Air wins, but when someone's face checking, when Cannon's flanking, if a pick comes out, all those multifaceted variables start to fall away. So how can Jin Air actually get a good, honest 5v5 and not be picked mercilessly by cousin friends before that happens?
Well, I feel like the execution Papa is going to be slicing, because Khan now has that Spellbinder that you were talking about. And it is going to be really difficult. Hook lands onto Gorilla, not the target that they care about. It's all of the abilities are thrown into the wind wall. That's a lot of value. Is it going to be enough value is the question, as Kingzone are knocking on the door of the Jin Air base. You can see the 1-3-1 has been enacted. It's like the Camille's a top laner coming out from Cuz.
Ezreal Zoe, a great siege duo on their own. Cannon may not be AD, but going to do plenty of work in a side lane. And Cuz himself on the bottom side, pushing up minions.
Grace just having a great time. Clears out the minion wave.
Yeah, pull them apart until you actually have that moment for Khan to win a team fight. Do his best Smeb impression on the AP cannon.
At the moment, Jin Air have at least staved them off for a little while. However, this gold lead's only getting bigger and bigger for Kingzone.
And still about 2 more minion waves of Baron means there's still a lot of time before we can fully evaluate. Remember, the Baron will time out at about the same time as Elder spawns, and that means that if they feel like they can't take down any of these turrets, the fallback Elder is looking pretty damn reliable.
Oh yeah. Well, Windwall is certainly going to help as far as this siege in the mid lane. A lot of our wave clear invested, but Kingzone, they really want to push forward. Prey gets a cheeky Trinity Force proc on the turret, but it's not going to be this wave. You mentioned 2. Certainly could be the one, as Cuz. He got a lot of work done bottom lane, and that's going to buy them the time. They just tank it up. Nova has to flash. Gets himself the shield from the Dark Passage, but will lose the inhibitor. Top lane's going to fall. It's dominoes now as the whole base is torn apart. Cuz very close to this Jin Air roster, jumps his way forward. He's ignored. Just the inhibitors are going to be the options. Goes down to his Guardian Angel as BDD jumps forward, executes the Swain, and this could just be it. The Explosive Cask was decent, but the Yasuo just evaporated. Kingzone, they haven't lost anyone yet, and they're looking to take down the base. It is going to be 1-1. It feels like history is repeating itself as they had so much damage. The Nexus just explodes.
Kingzone able to bring this to a Game 3. They will not be 2-0'd in this series. I thought Cuz came in and squared up the game. The draft on red side, similar to Jin Air's, but well snowballed upon in the one play that got them Baron and ended the game. Coach will come in and say job is done. But what will happen now with the third game on red side for Jin Air? Can Kingzone set up a blue side draft that doesn't fall into the traps both teams have allowed themselves to be lulled into in the first 2 games?
Yeah, and will the bans change around a little bit as well? Because we remember Jin Air was banning away the Kled, the Morgana. They won't be able to do that. Next time around, the Aatrox Talia Nocturne will most likely be once again our red side bans, but it's interesting, given the fact that they banned the Kled after it was a terrible performance from Kingzone in Game 1, and then they turned it around. The classic Zoe pick might rise in priority yet again. Grace's Yasuo unable to really find any foothold in that game whatsoever.
Definitely, it was Kingzone rotating around how weak the Yasuo was that found them most of their benefits here. Thought the Sejuani performance from Umti was great. It was definitely a game that hinged on the decisions that led to the Baron for Kingzone and was expertly closed out. 2 minutes into the Baron buff, wasn't looking like anything. By the time the Baron buff was gone, so was Jin Air GreenWings. So, nice little victory there, but now we just want to see the pick ban. It feels like that will be so central to the result of game number 3.
Yeah, and I think the Shen is going to be a high priority ban here as well, because Gorilla was able to protect the Camille to the point where it felt like she was a frontline, she was a tank, she was a damage dealer. Cuz was able to get everything done that game, and good God, the damage graph really speaks to how much Kingzone were packing it on, pushing us to game number 3.
First time we're seeing the AP Cannon come through from Khan. You think of it much more as a Smeb champion than a Khan champion.
Even a Juve champion, you know, even though he likes the on-hit preference, it's not really been what we associate Khan with.
Laned well with it. Team fighting was more than adequate. Zoe in the mid lane, Scout-esque, and that is a compliment to BDD. And now it's all about that game number 3.
Yeah, BDD really needed the turnaround performance on the Zoe as well. He's had some up and down ones recently, but guys, short break and we'll be back with game 3.